Hi and welcome. I'm Mary Jo, also known as Sojo, and this is my channel where I talk about all my quilty stitchy things. This is my weekly update number 13. Today is April 22nd, 2023. Now this is where I talk about everything that I've worked on and completed throughout the week, with a previous finish or two along the way, like the quilt behind me. So this week on my channel, I put out my part 2 of my completed trunk show of my completed quilts. I will be putting out part 3 probably Tuesday, possibly Wednesday. I'm also expecting my sew sampler. It has been shipped, but I haven't got it yet, so I will be doing an unboxing on those. And I just got my cotton cups gnomes yesterday. So I will be doing videos and showing those. So, you want to see what the April gnomes look like? So this is the April gnomes. So I'll be doing videos on those and posting whenever I can. I've got a busy week ahead of me, so I'm not exactly sure when I'll get those up, but I'll do my best to get them done as soon as I can. So this quilt behind me is actually from a pattern called the 4-Yard Frenzy. And why I picked this is because I told my husband to go pick out one, and that's what he brought me. So that's the one I'm showing. So there it is. It's hard to see, but it does have some metallic in through there, metallic fabrics, and we'll get a closer look. It also has metallic thread. It was quilted without metallic thread. So let's take a closer look. So here's that quilt, but it's really hard to see the quilting in here. So I'm gonna take a look at the back here. There, you can see the metallic thread a little bit better. And then we have the label down there in the corner. And it was done 2019. Okay, let's take a look at what I completed. So this is what I quilted on the Longarm this week. Now this was from a previous Creative Notion subscription box. And yes, that is rickrack there on the sides. Now when I quilted this through the Longarm, I just did a regular pantograph and quilted over that rickrack, which did cause me a little bit of problems, but it's done. I made it work. So let's take a closer look at the quilting. So there it is. It is quilted with these butterflies all over. And then in the corner, I did butterflies because of the flowers, and in the corners, which you couldn't see in the picture, there are these little butterflies there in the corner. There's another one up there. Okay, I'll flip it over and take a look at the back. Now on the back, I just used a white batting. Oop, a white backing. So those butterflies pop out. All right, on to the next thing. So with this quilt and that subscription, it also came with some buttons. So I may sew those on some of the flowers. And I'm just going to use a scrappy binding from all the flowers when I get to it. Now this week I completed 3 quilt tops. So this first one, I'm not going to bother to hang up because it's very small anyway. But I finished this Fast and Furious quilt pattern. Now I didn't do the table runner. I did the mini quilt on the back. But that's all done. Like I said, it's not very big, so I'm just going to hold this one up. There it is. So that's the first one I finished. So this is the second quilt top I finished this week. Now this was from a free pattern called Snowy Friends. This one right over here from Wellington Prints. Now it does have piping there right along this edge. That's like some piping. So I think when I quilt that, I'll probably have to base that down so it doesn't flip over when I do the pantograph on it. So that's the second one. Now we'll move on to the third one I finished. Now this is the third quilt top I finished this week. And this was just from Villa Rosa Designs quilt. There it is, with all the little alligators and crocodiles on it. Okay, so now let's look at what else I've pieced this week. Alright, as far as piecing goes, I've worked on Sew Sampler Project, the Leaves quilt pattern. And I'm working on the leaves. So I've got that. I've got these pieced together or pinned together, so I just have to sew. And I got the stem down here. So I got those pinned together. So those can be sewn together. And then it will be put together like that in a leaf. So I've got a bunch of those there all pinned, ready to sew. Now I also worked on this Lazy Day. So I've got a bunch of these all pinned together. Whoops. Which I just have those 4 patches on that piece. Pens ready to sew. And all those units put together. So that is what I worked on that bag. Next thing I worked on this other Villa Rosa Designs pattern from Jello Salad, but it's using these little panda prints. So I've made a bunch of half square triangles, and then I trimmed them down using the clearly perfect slotted trimmers, which is my tool of choice for trimming half square triangles. And I've got them all pinned down. All these different rows ready to sew. Now, this row I made a mistake when I was cutting. I only cut them 5.5 instead of 6.5. So I had to make another little cut and sew those together. But that's okay. We'll make it work. Let me get that all organized because they're all in order. So I worked on that. Then I worked on this other sew sampler project. The unraveled quilt pattern. So I cut everything out on here. And I actually just did this today. Cut everything out. And I've started making some flying geese there. So there it is. It's all in there. Everything's cut. So I did that. Two more quilty things I worked on. So, this did have that winter Christmas snowman quilt in that I showed on the top, the finished quilt tops a few minutes ago. So I put this in here. Now I haven't done much. It's going to be the Country Rose pattern. The only thing I've done so far was I took a layer cake and I cut it into 5-inch squares for the charm pack. So this is a charm pack quilt. But that's as far as I've gotten on that. And then there's some more fabrics for borders and things. So I'll have to finish cutting that one. And then the last thing I worked on this week, as far as quilting goes anyway, is this. And this is my paper piecing project. My big paper piecing project. The summer solstice. Now, as I've said before, this is a paper piecing project. I've never done anything of this magnitude, so I know this is going to take me a while, and I do think the instructions are a bit confusing. But we'll make it work. We'll figure it out somehow. So it started by having me sew 4 strips or so together, and then cut them apart, and then sewed them together in these diamonds. So I've got that all sewn together. And there's 8 of these diamonds. Now I still have to press them and pull those last papers off. But I did work on doing that. So that's everything I worked on as far as quilting goes. Oh, let me show you what I did in cross stitch. Now I'm still working on this Christmas Big Band sampler, and I'm going to be working on it for a long time. But I'll show you my progress. Alright, so there we go. When I started last week, I was somewhere over here with the hearts. So I finished doing that heart row and the ho 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 down here, and I'm working on these hearts that's going to be all the way across. So I am using DMC 1817 through the thread collar, and this is a 16 count Ada. So yeah, it's going to be big. So that's what I did with cross stitch. Now I'll show you my progress on crochet. So I've been working on this easy hooded pocket scarf in this crochet magazine from autumn 2022. Now I won't be putting the pom-pom on just because I don't like pom-poms, but that's just me. So I have the different pieces together, all done. So this is the big scarf that comes down, and these are the pockets that will fold up and sew, which I will have to, you know, do all that with the finishing. So there's one side of the pockets. And there's the other side of the pockets. And this rectangle piece is just the hood. But, you know, I'll have to sew that together along the back and then add the scarf. So the pieces are done. It's just a matter of finishing them. But that's what I worked on in crochet. One last thing to show you. So this is where I'm at on that diamond painting, and this diamond painting is Adeline from Diamond Art Club. The original painting was by Micah Jelena. Almost got that first row done. Okay, so that's everything I've worked on this week. Until next time, when we come back and talk about more of my quilty stitchy things. Bye!